I'm going to talk about the Dexter finale. Again, I know I'm late on this. I waited till it was out on Netflix. I actually have, like, all the season box sets. I do enjoy in general, I do enjoy the show. It was fun, and it came around the time, like, all these other shows, like Breaking Bad and all that, Breaking Bad. A lot of the things that are happening, in the mid-early, like, the 2000s, where a lot of, like, the anti-hero shit, was becoming more of a big boom. Where it was Dexter, and then, it came to, like, Death Note came to America, like, it just kind of bringing up these kind of things, and of course, several years after that, of course, Breaking Bad happens, and all that stuff, and now we have, like, the Hannibal show, and all those things where, where you're rooting for the bad guy, and where in the end, you're like, yeah, I know he's bad, and someone please, like, catch him, and he has to go to jail, or has to die, or something, because this is really bad, But yeah, so I really enjoyed the show. Like, I never had Showtime, but I remember just seeing like ads for it. Being in New York and stuff, constantly ads for it. And I'm like, oh, that's that guy from 6 Feet Under. And I remember like the first one where you see his face, but then there's like that really pale hand on him, and you're just like, huh? I just went on their the Showtime website and just like looked at a clip, and he was just all like, oh my god, blah 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 blah. And I was like, okay, that seems kind of odd. I remember just, like, on demand, just watching, like, the first season. I'm like, okay, I'm cool with this, And I fairly much enjoyed, like, I'm looking at my box sets. but yeah, like, further on, I was, again, fine with it. It was the season where, what's his name? Colin Hanks, what I think is probably the second to last season. That one, of course this is, if you haven't seen the show, like, of course I'm gonna obviously delve into spoilers. When Deb finds out that, he's a killer, yada yada, which again, it's one of these things where, like, it kind of took you guys this long to realize, like, I guess because as a character, he's always just weird, and to, in a sense, to bring up the kind of Death Note thing with it, where you've gotten away with it so much, like, it's like, stop, like characters like this, I remember, again, when I was reading Death Note and with this, and mind you, I haven't read the books that Dexter, the show, is based on, it's one of those things where, like, how isn't this motherfucker getting caught? Or, like, a lot of times with these characters, even with Walter White and yada yada, like, they get really cocky, and they're like, fine, I'm invincible, that's it, I haven't gotten caught, I'm not gonna get caught, I will never get caught, kind of thing. And of course they get caught, because for fuck's sakes, after a while, it's like, come on. Yeah, so, once Dexter starts slipping up a lot, like, very much, and then, when Dev finds out, yada yada, you're like, okay, how is this gonna be resolved? And I remember the whole thing with, like, LaGuerta, and I was just kind of like, I was getting annoyed with her anyway, because I never I never much liked her character, which again is like, that the point is that you're not supposed to like her, even though, as a person, she was actually really good, because she was on top of her shit, just like, what's his name? The Dokes, that's it. I'm like, Dokes, right? Yeah. I'm just like, black guy who was on, Oz. Actually, all of them were in Oz, which was weird. Anyway, that these characters, they're like, okay, Dexter's weird, yada yada, just like Quinn, they're gonna find out. And again, as a fan, you're like, oh god, don't find out, I want him, yada, he's weird, I'm weird, I love this character, we're weird, kind of thing. It becomes the thing of, yeah, just kill him. Just kill this person, and no one's ever gonna find out, where it's kind of weird that, Quinn never, was killed, but I think it's, yeah, anyway. Anyway, with this last season, I found myself, like, at first, I was just kind of like, I never had an issue with the character of with Deb's character. I was just kind of like, you can tell, like, she is a person who busts her ass, all that stuff, and of course doesn't want to seem to be, like, in her dad's shadow, because her dad was, like, such a good cop, and she became a cop because of her dad, but she doesn't want to be, like, you know, Harry's daughter, like, that kind of stuff. Whereas the son, instead of becoming a cop, decides to be forensic, you know, he's, whatever. Anyway, so I get it, and obviously she's young, and she got to the top, yada yada, and so she's trying to, like, prove herself, and you're with that character, you're like, yeah, you know, show what you can do. Yeah, also, don't get into Dexter's business. Just leave him alone, you know? And again, as a good cop, as she is, she figures everything out, yada yada. And it came to the point in the season where they were in that, shipping, thing, and she could have shot Dexter. Instead, she shoots LaGuardia, and in all seriousness, when I was watching that, at the time, I didn't know that they were going to really end it the next season. I was like, just shoot him. Like, knowing that, I was like, oh, they're probably going to still have another season, or that, like, you know, or something. Or, like, he's just going to get shot, like, just mortally like, just kind of wounded, like, ah, shit, my arm, or, you know, like, something not fatal. You know, but instead she shoots LaGuardia, and I was like, oh, shit, she did it. Like, wow, I can't believe it. And of course, you understand with, like, the beginning of, like, the season where Deb is just, like, this drunken cunt, undercover and all that BS. Anyway, yeah, so, what kind of got me upset with the last season was the fact that they just, like, in a way out of nowhere, just shoehorned Hannah McKay's character back in. Like, I really didn't give a fuck about that character, and I kind of wish he did kill her when he got the chance to kill her, you know, like, just, kind of like, bunch of seasons back where there was, like, the English chick, or whatever, chick, and that he was cheating on, while he was with Rita. You know, and, like, it was pretty much, like, the same thing. You got this pretty woman who, like, likes the danger and all that stuff, and, is attracted to Dexter because of it, and is okay with him killing people. And I was like, oh, I like that you do that. Awesome. And then, you know, you see that Dexter had gone all the way to, like, England or something and killed her, and you're like, okay, yeah, because, you know, she turned into a royal bitch, blah, blah, blah. And then with Hannah McKay, she kind of had that, too. Like, you poisoned his fucking sister, and somehow he was still able to forgive her, which I fucking, like, call bullshit on it. Like, so you do all this shit, like, with the, like, you had a bitch just like that before, and you were like, nah, fuck this, putting my foot down, I'm killing you, bitch. And then here, you poison your sister where she gets into a car accident, you're like, oh, well, you know, I was just kind of like, are you, like, I kind of had, like, are you fucking kidding me? So then when, like, yeah, so then, like, out of nowhere, like, he faints, and then, like, she shows up, she's like, remember me. Anyway, that kind of stuff. I was just like, really? Like, I was sitting here, like, watching that episode, she shows up, I'm like, you know, and at first I thought it was like, you know, in his head kind of thing, but I was like, oh no, this is real. You're actually putting this bitch back in the show. I'm like, fuck you, you know, I was just like, I don't give a shit. Yeah, so I was like, really, you're putting her in here? And then the rest of the season, besides, like, trying to, like, fuck with Saxon and then the whole thing with the therapist, and knowing that, like, she was, like, his dad's therapist, and that's how, like, the code and how it all began, kind of stuff, which is fine, because you want to kind of wrap it up, kind of thing. Also, I just kind of felt like there wasn't much, like, tension, you know, like, there were closure, fucking hair, like Monk, there was closure, you find out who killed Trudy, yada yada, like, here you find out, in a sense, like, where the code came from, that's great. But there wasn't, like, the tension of, like, oh my god, is he gonna get caught? Oh my god, yada yada. You're just kind of like, I just found myself watching and going, I just don't care anymore. Like, if you get caught, I don't care. If you beat the system, I don't care. Like, how is this gonna end? Like, I was just pretty much, like, I was talking to Glee about this, like, the tension, which is kind of like, get on with it! Like, that kind of tension. Like, how are you gonna end? Are you gonna, you know, like, I remember the last few episodes of Lost, I was like, oh shit, what's going off? You know, the last few episodes of Breaking Bad, I was like, like, every episode, you're like, you know, you're like that. Even with Monk, you're like, oh my god, happy things are gonna happen, you know. With here, I was just kind of like, alright. Oh, okay, oh, okay. Oh, next episode, okay. I was just kind of like, okay, fine, we're getting on with it kind of thing. You know, with Hannah McKay coming back and all that stuff, and I was, like, I was just talking about Glee, I was talking to Glee about this, today, where I was like, even though it's, like, kind of silly, yada yada, like, kind of, you know, like a trope of what you're supposed to, not trope, but, like, it's just what you do, like, when you're trying to, if you're in, like, hiding, all that stuff. So, obviously, Hannah McKay is a tall, pretty, blonde chick. If you're trying to be incognito, like, bitch, like, cut your hair, dye it dark, you know, wear lenses that you don't have, like, light eyes and dark eyes, you know, something like, put on a pair of glasses, shades, something. You know, even, like, when Black Widow and Captain America were hiding, they were just like, alright, glasses and hoodies, and let's just look kind of normal. Like, you know, even a fucking Ninja Turtle decides to put on a fucking fedora and a fucking trench coat to try to be incognito. This bitch is walking around like her normal, tall, blonde, pretty self. Oh yeah, no one's gonna catch me. Oh no, someone's on to me. Yeah, bitch, because you're so obvious. You know, it's like if I was on, like, you know, if I was, like, a wanted fugitive, and then people were just like, we gotta look for a tall fucking Asian with green hair, and I just walk around just like this, jerking off two guys, if I walk around, you know, just like this all the time, yeah, they're gonna fucking find me. It's like, you know, try to be incognito. Bitch didn't even know how to be incognito. Like, I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's what, like, pissed me off with, like, the last half of the season was when the bitch got in, and then, the fact that, like, you know, so many, like, she could have fucking left. You know, she was on a plane to go, and he could have been like, I'll meet you later. Instead, he's like, no, stay. I was like, like, it wasn't like a good tension, like the tension, like, oh no. I was just like, great, you're letting her stay, so you guys are obviously gonna get caught. Like, like, you're stupid. Like, I'm just, not happening. Like, when Dexter caught Saxon, he was like, oh, I'm gonna kill him, yada yada. And he's like, oh, Deb, call it in, and you'll be the greatest talk, yada yada, and he's subdued. Yeah, subdued in the sense of, dude is strapped to, like, a thingy. I'm just gonna say thingy. He's strapped to the bed thingamajigger. But he could've, like, you know, gone with another trank or something. You know, like, some shit. Or, like, just knocked him and just punched him, just knocked him out. You know, just so he don't, like, you know, have a trace of, like, the, you know, in him, yada yada. But instead, like, he's just there like, whoa, I'm on this thing, and oh my god, you know, with the thing. And of course that, the guy was doing his job, the U.S. Marshal guy was like, what is this? It was kind of horrible acting. He goes, whoa, what is this? What is this going on? And of course he's like, oh, help me, you know, that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, God, dude, like, fine. When his character died, I was like, go right ahead. And also, like, that he's still awake and all that stuff, you're leaving your fuck-off knives there. It's like, of course. You know? Like, of course, like, the dude's gonna unstrap him, he's gonna grab a knife and stab the motherfucker, you know? Like, of course that was gonna happen. And the very fact that, like, when Deb and Dexter were outside and she was hugging him, like, goodbye and stuff, I was surprised that the Marshal guy didn't see them out there. Like, obviously they're saying, like, probably on the other side of the building or the back door or whatever. But it's like, come on, like, for fuck's like, that, again, it was one of those things where I'm like, nah, I'm not, you know, I don't give a fuck. And so, yeah, of course, like, you know, Deb gets shot, and she was shot before, so you're like, okay, she's gonna live. She's gonna live. She was shot before, she's gonna live. You know, her little, tiny, little, skinny self, she was shot before by, was it, not John Lithgow, but the other lady, anyway, with that the John Lithgow season. That was a weird season. That again, that was, like, starting where I was starting to get annoyed, where I was like, you're getting too you're getting, not too close, you're getting too cocky, you're thinking you're not gonna get caught, and then, you know, John Lithgow shows up at your fucking, you know, station and goes, Dexter Morgan, that's your name, you're like, moron, like, you just fucked yourself in the ass with it, you know, Anyway, yeah. So, who's a motherfucker? Yeah, anyway. So, of course, Saxon, gets away, blah, 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 all that stuff. You're happy that Deb survives the gunshot, but of course, like, via whatever plot line, she gets a clot, and it causes her to have a stroke. Which is, of course, like, medically possible. At the same time, like, really? Really? Of course. Of course, you have to turn, like, the one person who was, like, his constant into actual vegetable, into, like, nothing. So, of course, they can't have, like, he can't have it because he's upset, yada yada. And so this during, like, some kind of storm that's happening, some kind of hurricane that's happening because, they're in Miami. In Miami Beach. And so he goes and, like, unplugs her from the machines, and I'm kind of like, it's so stupid how I'm calling bullshit on this, whereas, like, oh yeah, as much as I love Breaking Bad, I'm like, yeah, you could totally have a meth lab, like, underground and all that stuff, it's fine. Yeah, anyways, aside. It's only because it's, like, hospital-related, and with the last few, like, asylum films I was watching and bitching about hospital settings, like, yeah. It's like, even if he like, turned off the switch, and it's like, those things run on, like, backup batteries as well. Like, it's not just plugged in, you hit the off switch. Like, it's, even, I think most of the machines now, even if you hit the off switch, where, in a sense, it'll react as if, like, the power went out, a backup battery would have come out. And when he took off, like, the little finger clampy thingy, but you still saw her heart monitor, I was like, no, that's what's monitoring her heart, is that, yeah, I was having, like, that kind of moment, like, okay, this is really happening. At least the hospital was an actual hospital set, not like an office building set, like, in 13, because, oh my god. Fucking asylum movies. So, yeah, and of course he's, like, taking out all her tubing and all that shit. And then he, like, proceeds to, like, wheel her out of the hospital. Mind you, not even trying to, like, fake it by, like, let me put on this lab coat because I am a doctor. No, he's just in his, like, kill outfit. In a like, ambulance, gurney because, they just have so many lying around. Which, that part I kind of see could be plausible because they were kind of, like, evacuating certain parts of the hospital because of the storm. But at the same time, it's like, I know people are evacuating and moving and yada yada, but you would still see some guy, like, wheeling out a random like, someone still would have seen that. Yeah, and, like, before that, way before that part, when Saxon was, like, gonna go kill off, Deb in the hospital, that guy gets to a part of the hospital and there's, like, no nurses at the station. I'm like, I'm sorry. No, these people are always stationed, in these places. Like, it's their job, It's just gonna happen. Like, it's not just, like, one nurse it's always gonna be several of them. It's like, I was just like, really? And I get that they probably purposely did that, because, like, the cops were there too, so they probably were like, let's see how far, like, to be like, so the nurse will get out of harm's way. Like, I can kind of see where, anyway, so yeah, going back around. So he wheels Deb out of the hospital while you see the horrible CGI storm that's coming to them. And he, like, picks her up, and also, of course, the hospital has to be, like, by the water. It's Miami, so everything's by the water. But literally, like, he was able to, like, drive his fuck off, like, boats, like, and dock, and then walk up to the hospital, and I was like, wow, that's convenient. And also, I thought, like, he sold the boat when he was trying to, like, sell everything else, but, I don't know, maybe I missed something. So yeah, he, like, takes her off the thing and carries her fucking body into the boat, and you're like, and I'm thinking, no one is seeing this! No one is seeing this, Just thinking, again, no one is seeing this, like, no one fucking sees this. How is no one seeing this? Anyway, so he drives off, yada yada, and then you see the oncoming storm, blah, 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 blah. And the whole time I'm thinking, okay, of course he's gonna dump her in the water, as he, in a sense, has dumped everything he's killed into the water. And then I was also thinking, like, he was probably, like, in my mind, I was like, I would have been fine if the show would have ended with, like, him like, holding onto her and then walking in the water with her and just kind of, like, with her literal dead weight, just dragging him in the water and just kind of, like, killing himself. You know, like, if he would have killed himself and just kind of, like, ended it like that, or, what, like, you know, when he just threw her into the water, and then he decided to, kind of, Dark Knight Rises it by, just like what he did was, like, make it seem like he died with his, like, his boat, and then, when you saw that, like, again, it was like a cafe scene, that's why I was thinking Dark Knight Rises, with Hannah and, Harrison, you think he was gonna, like, just show up while she's, like, reading off her iPad, because, of course, it's probably, like, an internet cafe, in Argentina, Chininea. He's reading off her iPad, like, oh, you know, forensics, examiner, died of sandwiches, that you would see him, like, just show and be like, alright, we're, like, at least, like a new start kind of thing, and be like, alright, we're doing, or, like, just not even saying a word, and then the whole, like, cheesy thing where they're holding hands into the sunset thing. Like, I thought that was gonna happen, and I would have still been okay with it. But to just kind of like, I'm gonna dump Deb into there, call Hannah and blah blah, and be like, I love yous and shits, and throw my phone into the water, and then I don't know where he's at, like Alaska or something, and become like a lumberjack. That was the thing where I was just like, you're like, I was kind of like, why, you know, like, why do that, you know, and why, like, sit at the table, look out the window, and then break the fourth wall, look at the camera, and then end, you know, like, that was where I was like, okay, now I'm just a little more annoyed, that extra part where, like, well, he's living a new life by himself as some lumberjack thing, and that part is just like, you know, like, in general, I still enjoyed the show for what it was. It's just, like, especially the very last season, it was just kind of, like, I got a little annoyed with it. I only bought it because it was, like, $10, DVD at Target, so fuck it, right? I understand why some people were totally behind it, like, oh, no, this totally makes sense as one of, like, the better, like, how it ends, it should end like this, because it doesn't, it's not a predictable ending, yada yada, and I get that. And I understand why some people were just really upset, and like, fuck this shit, blah, 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 and how, like, after this ended, there was such negativity, and then Breaking Bad ended, and there was such positivity, and people were like, no, well, so then you got, like, the assholes. Like, then you got the people who are mad at the Dexter one, but then very excited about Breaking Bad one. Then you got the people who are who are fine with the Dexter one, and then mad at the Breaking Bad one because it was, like, too predictable kind of shit. And of course, like, I love Breaking Bad, so I was fine with how it ended. My main thing was just as long as Jesse didn't die. And then, with Dexter, I'm very upset that Deb had to die, you know, the fact that she was brain dead, all that stuff, and, you know, and then she was gone anyway. I was like, why? Like, well, like, you know, it was just like, I got so mad at Dexter, like, your sister had your back, even through all this shit, why? You know, like, you just, okay, that's, like, I fucking hate you, like, that kind of thing. But with this one, it's just, like, I'm in the middle. Like, I understand why some people were upset with it, and I understand why people were okay with it. I'm in the middle. I'm just, like, it's just, again, the Hannah McKay story just pissed me the fuck off. It's just, I just don't like her, like, a character. I don't give a shit about the actress. As a character, I just don't, like, I'm just like, why did they bring her back, you know? Anywho, yeah, I'll have some more stupid movies to bitch about, but, yeah.